Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing in, and it is heading into week 12 of this season. I know time is kind of really flying by, to be honest, and we're already heading into week 12 of this 2022 NFL season. And today it is time for another power ranking for the week, and it is time to give my power rankings heading into week 12 of this NFL season. But before I do that, make sure you guys leave this video a like. As it always, it continues to help this channel to grow, and it beats the YouTube algorithm. And if you're one of the people that are not subbed to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button and notification bell so you will not miss any of the content that I post. But it's time for the week 12 power rankings. Without further ado, let's dive into it. Okay, first we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals. I've been one on this channel for the past couple of weeks to say this team is inconsistent, and they proved it again Monday night. I hate to do it, but I'm going to drop the Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to drop them to a D. I don't believe in this football team. Even though Kyler Murray was out last night, this football team is just too wildly inconsistent to believe in. It's just like you get one good game and then you get a terrible game like they did against the 49ers. But next is going to be the Atlanta Falcons. They just came off a victory over my Chicago Bears. Offensively, that passing game didn't do anything, to be honest with you. But defensively, they held their own to the most part. They just made the plays when they needed to. Cordell Patterson is proven to be a big weapon for them. Mariota still has to get, I think, a little bit better. But with this Falcons team, we're going to put them at a B. Next is the Baltimore Ravens. This team is coming off of a victory against Carolina, and it shouldn't have been that close of a game, but I'm still going to have them in an A. That offense, I think the passing game needs to improve. Defensively, getting Roquan Smith did help tremendously, and Lamar Jackson is still playing at a high level. I just think they have to do better offensively of throwing the football, and they closed out a game against a pretty bad Panthers team, so I'm going to put them at a B. A, excuse me. Next is going to be the Buffalo Bills. I'm personally still believing that this team is one of the better teams of football. They did have that mishap against the Minnesota Vikings. They did have a loss against the Miami Dolphins. They didn't look good against the Jets. But at the end of the day, I still have this as one of the best football teams in the league. So I'm going to put them in an S. Next is the Carolina Panthers. Let's just say it. This team is bad. Baker Mayfield looks terrible. Defensively, they haven't been the greatest. They look good against the Baltimore Ravens running attack last week. But offensively, they just can't do anything right. So I'm going to put them in a D. Next is going to be my Chicago Bears. This is another tough team to grade. I'm not going to get too deeply into the Bears. I'll leave that in my reaction video on the cards. But this Bears team defensively, they can't get after the quarterback at all. Offensively, Justin Fields and Montgomery, when the running game saved them. Justin Fields did make some plays throwing the ball. He did miss one, too. It's just this offensive line for the Bears is bad. They're bad in the trenches, period. But I just think with Justin Fields, he's been able to get them out of a lot of holes. So I'm going to put the Bears at a C. Next is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm going to put this team at a B. They're coming off of a win against Pittsburgh, where their offense started to look more balanced. They started to look more explosive. And Jamar Chase not being in the lineup does hurt them a little bit. But at the end of the day, I'm going to put this team at a B. Next, Cleveland Browns. I'm going to put them at a C. This team is just so inconsistent. It's not a very good football team, if you ask me. And the passing game has struggled, and it's shown. Next is the Dallas Cowboys. Coming off of a big-time victory over the Minnesota Vikings, I'm going to put them at an S. Tony Pollard has really exploded. Defensively, they railed Minnesota to basically nothing. So I'm going to put the Dallas Cowboys at an S. As much as it pains me to do it, they are proven to be one of the better teams in football. Point blank, period. Next is the Denver Broncos. I'm going to put them at a D. This team just can't do anything right offensively. Defensively, they've been getting kept in games. It's just offensively, they cannot capitalize on their opportunity. Now, we did see the blown play to Devontae Adams, but I'm out for this Broncos team right now. I was on them a little bit heavy coming into the year. I'm completely off of them now. Next is the Detroit Lions. They're starting to put some things together with wins over the Giants and the Bears the last 2 weeks. Offensively, they're starting to get a little bit of a rhythm. They're playing a lot better defensively over the last couple of weeks, and it's shown. Even though the Bears put up 30 points on them, you could tell in moments they're starting to get those stops that they need. They're still a very young defensive team, and I think going forward, they found something with Aiden Hutchinson. Next is the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to put the Green Bay Packers, I'm going to put them at a B. I just don't believe that this football team is anywhere near complete, and they got a comeback win over Dallas, and Dallas slipped, and it showed that Tennessee kind of opened them up a little bit. They ran the ball on them, and their corner struggled. Against the wide receiving core for Tennessee, that is pretty much not a very good wide receiving core at all. So this Green Bay Packers team has a lot of things to fix. The Houston Texans, I'm just going to say they are the worst team in football, point blank period. It's not really much to analyze about them. They are just the worst team in football, and Dameon Pierce has been a bright spot for that football team. I think they should have traded Brandon Cooks at the deadline to get some value, but it's not a good football team. Next is the Colts. They're also not a good football team at this point. I've been one to believe that they have so much mess, even though Jeff Saturday did lead them to a win, and they got very, very close with a very, very good Eagles team. This Colts team is just wildly inconsistent defensively, and it doesn't help that Shaquille Leonard is out. I ain't going to put them at a C. Next is Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a tougher team to grade, but I'm going to drop them to a D. I do believe in this Jaguars team going forward, but as it stands right now, it's not a good team. It's just really not. They're coming off of a bye week. It's just not a good football team. Next is the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, MVP candidate. That defense has been playing so much better than what I ever could have expected from this defense coming into the year. And I'm going to put them at an S tier. And I pretty much was wrong about my prediction about the Chargers taking them over. And they got this AFC West on lock. And speaking of the Chargers that I predicted that they would lose to, this team is just ravaged by so many injuries, whether it's Bosa, whether it's a guy like J.C. Jackson, whether it's been Keenan Allen for most of the year, Mike Williams. This team has been decimated by the injury bug. Coming into the year, they had so much talent, and they kept it very, very close with the Chiefs team last Sunday night. It's just that this Chargers team is just so ravaged by the injury bug, and it might cost them a playoff spot. Next is the Rams. The Rams are just bad. Losing Cooper Kupp doesn't help. Defense hasn't been as great as we thought it would be this season. The loss of Von Miller and the losses on that front seven of Sebastian Joseph Day as well starting to prove evident. This team is just not a very good team right now. And Stafford has not been playing like the quarterback that we've seen him play for a lot of portion last season. Next is the Raiders. I'm also going to put the Raiders at a C. A much-needed victory against the Denver Broncos. Devontae Adams is still Devontae Adams. It's just this defense is so bad. This defense, even though the Broncos offense really didn't look that great either, but we're going to say that this defense has a lot of holes to fix that Max Crosby cannot fill. Offensively, they have some things going. It's just defensively, this has just been so bad for this team. Next is going to be the Miami Dolphins. They are coming off of a bye week. I'm going to put the Dolphins at a A tier right now, even though, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to put the Dolphins at an S. I am going to put the Dolphins at an S. They are one of the best teams in football. That defense has been playing a lot better than what I've even thought they were going to be. And Tua has been looking like an MVP candidate so far this year, especially when he's been in the lineup. That offense has been explosive with Hill and Waddle. They are at an S tier for me. Next is the Vikings. They are going to drop. I had them in the S for the past couple of weeks, but after that, the performance to the Dallas Cowboys at home, and you get blown out 40-3 with an offense that's been pretty much consistently good all season, and the Dallas Cowboys made you look like a trash bag, basically. I'm going to drop them. I'm sorry. I cannot put them at the last tier, especially after a game like that. That was just brutal. I understand losing, because that's going to happen, but losing in the fashion that they lost to this Dallas Cowboys team, just not good. The New England Patriots and Nets are going to put them at a B. They are pretty much an average team in my opinion. It's not like they do anything spectacular. Maybe they do some things defensively, especially causing turnovers. Offensively, the passing game has not been great. The running game has been outside of Ramondre Stevenson having some decent games, it hasn't been great. It's pretty much an average football team, if you ask me. Next is the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to put them at a C. I love what they're doing with Chris Olave. Shout out to my Ohio State Buckeye guy. It's just that this defense hasn't been great, even though they did have a win against the LA Rams team that was not good in my opinion. I just believe that this Saints team, it could be a better quarterback play away from being a lot better football team than where they sit right now. Next is the New York Giants. I'm going to put the Giants at an A tier. I am going to put the Giants in an A tier despite the loss to the Detroit Lions. Detroit has been playing better. It's just Daniel Jones, I've always said it, Daniel Jones has just not exploded enough. He hasn't taken over the game so much that where he gives them team to win games. He doesn't really lose them games, especially the last couple of weeks outside of this past week. He doesn't really do a lot to win you games either. That defense has been keeping them in a lot of games. And that offense, outside of Saquon Barkley, they don't have a lot. So I'm going to put them at an A for now, but that could easily change after next week against the Cowboys. Next is the New York Jets. I'm going to drop them to a B. That defense, it looks great, but that offense can't do a thing. Zach Wilson has been pretty much regressing the last couple of weeks. He hasn't been playing up to that number 2 overall potential, and should they have drafted Justin Fields like I thought they should have? Because Zach Wilson has not been looking like the quarterback of their future at all. Ever since coming back from the knee injury, he just hasn't looked great. He hasn't shown them the promise that they drafted him to be. He hasn't shown it. Defensively, it's, like I said, they have been balling, but offensively, some struggles. Next is the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to put them in an S tier still. Close game with the Colts. Close game with the Colts. This team was finding a way to pull that out and come back and get a victory. And we are in today's NFL. We're in an NFL league where you have to go through some adversity. And this Philly team did that, and they came back and beat a Colts team, which was outplaying them for a good portion of that ball game. So I'm going to put the Eagles at an S. Next is the Steelers. I hate to do this to a Mike Tomlin coach team, but I love Mike Tomlin, but their offense has just been bad. And we get into week 11 and they just scored their first touchdown of the year outside of the red zone. Bad offense. Defensively, like they've been carrying them in some games. Not all of them. It's just this team, it's just not living up to any expectations that we had for them. We didn't expect them to be world beaters, but we did expect them to be better than this. And the quarterback play with Pickett hasn't been great. Trubisky hasn't been great either. So I'm going to put them at the D tier, unfortunately. Seattle Seahawks are next. They are coming off of a bye week. I am going to put them at a B. Geno Smith has been basically a very good player in the resurgence of his career. Offensively, Kenneth Walker has been a bright spot in their running game, and the defensive play has been better even without Jamal Adams. So I'm going to put the Seahawks at a B. Next is the San Francisco 49ers. It's going to crazy. I'm going to put them at the A tier. After that win last night against the Arizona Cardinals team, even though they were been inconsistent in the way they dominated them, Jimmy G has He played great. Jimmy G has been so for some parts of the year, and the addition of Christian McCaffrey has just got this offense to another level. It's got them to another level, so I'm going to put them in an A. Next is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are on a bye. I'm going to put them at a B. They're starting to maybe find a little bit of rhythm. Maybe it could be a little bit too late, maybe, even though that division is pretty much terrible. So they do have a chance at that. I don't know. We still have a lot to make from Tom Brady in these last couple of games. Next is the Tennessee Titans. I'm going to put them at an A tier. This team is sneaky just like they were last year. The running game has been successful. Defensively, they've been playing a lot better than what we thought or what they had been earlier on in the year. Ryan Tannehill, even though he hasn't been great, he's just keeping that team steady afloat versus something Malik Willis, who I didn't believe was ready, did during his time as a starter. Next and last is the Washington Commanders. Taylor Heinicke is the guy. Taylor Heinicke is a very good player. I'm not going to say great or anything like that, but he fits and he works for this Washington Commanders football team. He just works. Even though they play Houston, that defense, they play good. We're waiting to see if Chase Young is going to get back, but ever since Heinicke has been in the ball game, they've been either winning or getting close games. Heinicke, like I said before, he was the guy. I'm glad they named him the starter of the remainder of the season. But these are my rankings heading into week 12. Make sure you guys leave this video a like. As always, it continues to help this channel to grow. Comment you guys' thoughts down below. And as always, if you're not subbing and you've gotten to this point, do your guy a favor, click the sub button and notification bell so you not miss any of the videos that I post. APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great next Sunday, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.